This week on the Analog Circle podcast, PlayStation fans, you may want to circle the 26th of September on your calendar because that is a day you should be on the lookout for, allegedly. Is the next Gears of War coming to PlayStation? There is definitely evidence that would suggest it is a possibility, but we will discuss. We get a new report from the man himself, Street Fighter VI producer Shuhei Matsumoto, on the possibility of a new Marvel Vs Capcom title releasing, and we may have some new information on Naughty Dog's next upcoming project. All of these stories can be found here and more in episode 217 of the Analog Circle podcast. I am your host, Kiaun Mitchell, and welcome to the show. Welcome. It is always a pleasure and a privilege to be here with you guys. Now, before we officially get started into the episode, if you would like to be a part of the next episode of Listener Feedback, you can do that one way. It's not two because we don't have a phone number right now. But if you do want to get in contact with the show to be a part of that episode, you can do it by emailing the show, and the email address is the Analog Circle podcast at gmail.com. So without further ado, guys, with all of that stuff being out the way, I think it is time to get into what we all come here for, and that is the gaming news that went down. So let's get things started with a story that I got from Game Rant. So with some PlayStation news, let's get it started with that. So, coming from gaming insider Daniel RPK on his Patreon account that was discovered by MP First, the report focuses on a casting call for an unannounced PlayStation first-party title, which will fall under the action-adventure genre and will have, quote, intense violence and potential profanity, end of quote. Also, a reference image of two of the game's characters was attached to the casting call, with their faces and clothing being concealed, probably because they didn't want to give away what the possibility of the plot of the story is, or who the characters will be. That could possibly be a bit of a spoiler. But let me see. So the images only show their references for the roles of a salt and pepper gray-haired man between the ages of 40 to 60 years old and a brunette-haired woman between the age of 20 to 60 years of age. That's a heck of a gap, 20 to 60. God dog. Now, it's also been mentioned that more than likely, like I mentioned before with the profanity and the very, very hard, intense violence, that this game will be rated M. And that is, well, it's actually a good chance. This is Naughty Dog's next project. Now, the reason why that's being said is because the casting call went live on May, which is around the same time Naughty Dog co-president Neil Druckmann teased the studio's next project. Now, I know some of you guys may be feeling like, well, this must be the sequel or the third game in the trilogy for The Last of Us. I would say you might want to pump the brakes on that, because The Last of Us, the director, the guy behind the game, Neil Druckmann, he confirmed that Naughty Dog would release their new IP before The Last of Us Part 3 was released. So with all of this being said, guys, this is very, very interesting. Now, of course, Nobody knows for sure if this is Naughty Dog's game, but I will say if you travel back in time with me, at least 3, maybe possibly 4 years ago, definitely 3 years ago for sure. If you travel back in time, you may remember a story that we covered where the 2 protagonists that were supposed to be in Naughty Dog's upcoming game, one was supposed to be a female scientist and the other one was supposed to be a male. They didn't say he was a janitor, but he was some kind of worker, just a ordinary, everyday type of character. So if you go back to think about those 2 different characters, it is actually very interesting that now 3, possibly maybe close to 4 years later, we have this call that was put out, this casting call that was put out. And what do they have on full display? I mean, of course, not the face being shown and the clothing not being shown, but a male and female possible protagonist going into this next project. Now, the other thing that could be said about that, a male and female possible protagonist, is you could also possibly be able to choose from male or female. I'm sure that is a possibility. Well, I'm not sure of any doggone thing because this is all we have to go off of is this casting call. So all of this stuff could be absolutely wrong. You might not be able to choose which character or which sex your character is, whether it's male or female. But the thing is that it's just so interesting to me that so many years later, these 2 characters, a male and a female, are obviously going to be in this next game. Now, who knows? I mean, good grief, PlayStation has a ton of studios. You not only have Naughty Dog, I mean, you got Sucker Punch. They've been pretty quiet over the last several years. You got, well, of course, it's not going to be Polyphony. We know they're not going to be doing this. They just work on Gran Turismo. But then you got Sony Santa Monica. They're working on something as well. So you have a couple of teams, plus a ton of others out there that I can't think of at the moment that are underneath PlayStation's banner. So again, people just believe that this is going to be Naughty Dog's upcoming project because Neil Druckmann already put it out there that in May they would be starting their next project. And this, all of a sudden, this casting call comes up in May. So we'll definitely see what happens with this. I mean, we are all waiting with bated breath, on what this next Naughty Dog game is going to be. And me, myself, I'm very, very excited about it. I don't think we're going to be getting an Uncharted. Like I said, they said it would be a new, well, it's not me that said it, but Neil Druckmann said, again, they would be putting out a new IP, again, before The Last of Us 3 would be released. And I know I was talking about not The Last of Us, God, dog. I was talking about Uncharted. We know that that's probably not going to be happening under Naughty Dog, possibly ever again. But never say never. You just never know. But we will definitely see what happens with this. Could you imagine, God, dog, could you even just think for a minute that this could be an Uncharted game? It just doesn't seem like that is what it's going to be, because it seems like to me, Naughty Dog, they have to be. I mean, of course, we don't know, but I just feel like they have to be working on some kind of new IP because they have killed it with The Last of Us, that franchise. I know some of you guys didn't think The Last of Us 2 was a great game. I thought it was a sensational game. It was my favorite game of last generation. That's how much I absolutely loved that game. And I think that the way that they ended Uncharted, what was it, A Thief's End? I believe Uncharted 4. I mean, that could go in a couple of different directions, you never know, but I think that they want to move on to something else, a different challenge, something new. So hopefully, again, this is the game that we will see Naughty Dog actually come back to their amazing form with a brand new IP, but only time will tell. Let's go ahead, guys, and let's get into the next story that I actually got from WCCF Tech. So in more PlayStation news, it looks like that PlayStation 5 Pro is still on track to release this year. Now, this is based off of info shared with developers earlier in the week. Now, this was reported on from Insider Gaming, where developers can submit their application supporting the PlayStation 5 Pro to Cert Ops, which stands for Platform Certification and Operations. But they'll be able to do that on July 30th, a date that was finalized 18 months ago. Now, additionally, all applications for the PlayStation 5 on games that will be released after September 15th, and this is very interesting, after September 15th will be required to support the PlayStation 5 Pro. And again, this info was shared with devs earlier this week. So because of this, it would appear that the console is still on track for release later this year. Why else would you be telling devs that after September 15th, you will be required to support the PlayStation 5 Pro? That now, God dog. Now that is a very interesting situation. So basically, and of course, that's September of this year. So basically, is it a situation where PlayStation feels so emboldened that they can tell these devs, look, after September 15th, you will, I repeat, you will make sure that you are showing the PlayStation 5 its support? God darn.
This man.
God, dog, man, that's when you know you got a stronghold on the doggone market right there. And this is why we should never, ever want one console to rule them all, because it is bad business all across the board. And maybe I shouldn't have booed that, though. Wait a minute. Maybe I might have jumped the gun just a little bit. Because when I do think about it, a person goes out there, they spend $600, or this thing might be $700. Inflation is ridiculous right now. I don't know. Could be a couple of different price points that this thing might be at, and you make sure that you tell those devs, hey, look, this is what I need y'all to do. New console is coming out, the PS5 Pro. I'm going to need y'all to support that. There ain't no way around it. We going to need that support. I will say, I don't know. Guys, guys, that might not be a bad practice, because if you have a brand new joint on the market and you want people to buy this thing, the only way people are going to buy it, and of course the numbers are already going to be low because most casuals are not going to pick up the PS5 Pro, only us the hardcore. So you already have a smaller demographic that will be picking up this console. You're going to have to give them a reason to pick this up. You're going to have to give them a reason. And a reason why someone would pick this up is if it is actively, and I do mean actively, being supported by the devs. So I don't know. I'm going to have to revoke that. I got to give him a round of a doggone applause for that. That's actually pretty doggone good. Give me a reason to want your console. Give me a reason to want to invest in this $700,000 thing that you got coming up. So with all of that being said, though, it still looks like it is a possibility that this will be releasing later on this year. Of course, PlayStation has not come out to officially announce this thing. We're still going off of rumors and different reports that have been out there for, wow, good grief, the good part of almost nearly a year, maybe slightly more than a year at this point. But only time will tell. But let's go ahead, guys, and let's get into the next story that I actually got from Level Up. Now, this story, whoo-wee, things got very interesting on the 343 Industries train this week when rumors spread like the doggone flew out this mother lover on social media that 343 would no longer be developing Halo, but instead be regulated to pre-production. God darn. Golly. Woo! Man, they emptied a whole clip when it came to that. People said, are you kidding? They are taking 343 off and regulating them to pre-production, creating game concepts and overseeing development. Now, by the way, this info came from well-known informant Bathrobe Spartan. This joker's name is Bathrobe Spartan. Now, he also claims, on top of all of this stuff, that 2 projects from the saga are already on the way, which is great news if that is true. But it was a little bit of pushback because 343 community manager John Junyszek, you spell his last name Junyszek, Junyszek, stepped in. I know I butchered that brother's name, but he stepped in to respond to these claims by saying, quote, "It has been and always will be wild out here," end of quote. Now, he didn't really answer anything, to be fair. He just seemed like he just tried to kind of like sidestep it and say, man, these people are just crazy. They just making up stuff. But additionally, now this is where the real pushback actually happened. Journalist Jez Gordon reviewed Bathrobe Spartan's information and stated that it was false. And coming out to show their support for Jez was Halo Leaks, who stated, quote, "I said this last year. I have no idea why anyone believed that 343i, well, in industries, would take on more of a publisher role. 343i will be the main developer on the main Halo titles in the future. Halo Infinite and beyond," end of quote. Now, with all of that being said, as it stands, neither Xbox or any other member of 343 Industries has come out to comment on these recent rumors. Good grief. This isn't a whole lot to unpack, but it's a lot to unpack. Now, we usually will see when something isn't true, people usually get out in front of it. And I know it's one of those situations where it could be you darned if you do, darned if you don't. It doesn't matter. You go out there, you say something, people are going to say, oh, no, they're trying to cover it up. Or if you don't say something, then you're guilty by not saying anything because you're too nervous to say anything. It's like a catch-22 in this kind of situation. So, of course, I don't want to jump out the window and say that it is true. But if we are just going off of the track record that 343 has had since they have taken over the Halo franchise, it has not been good. It hasn't been a good track record. They have not had, now granted, I can't say anything about Infinite because I didn't play it. I heard that the campaign was good. Online took a while to get revved up, but it got going, and it actually is a good game. But on a mass scale, Halo has not hit like it used to when it was under Bungie's development thumb. It has not reached those same heights. Some people can say, well, it's because it's Halo. It's an older game. He's an older character. You know, games like that aren't as popular today as far as the play style of Halo. I get all of that. But again, when you factor in their track record at 343, they have constantly fumbled the ball. So is it a big stretch or a huge possibility that this couldn't be true? Because if someone is messing up or a team is consistently messing up, and not only messing up a game, but messing up on a franchise, a huge franchise character, the character that built the Xbox brand, the biggest character that they've had. I mean, some people could say that's a little, you might be able to argue with that. Marcus Phoenix, is another one. But I'm just saying, nobody can deny that Master Chief built the house of Xbox. Without him, the Xbox brand would not be where it is today. And you mean to tell me you have a team that is consistently fumbling the ball on that kind of franchise? I just got to say, of course, we will not know until, Xbox or 343 Industries gets the green light to let us know what's going on. Of course, we're going to be in the dark. But to me, I don't think it's that far-fetched just by looking at the track record. And who the world, I don't know who Halo Leaks is, man. Matter of fact, let's look up and see who the world Halo Leaks is. Let's see how much of a good source they are. Let's see. Who is Halo Leaks? Let's see. Halo Leaks. BTW, the closer we get to June 9th. It doesn't look like, looks like that's just somebody that's on, they got 1.7 thousand followers on X. This doesn't look like anybody that's like all in the inside or knows anything. So him saying what he said was just his opinion, like I'm giving my doggone opinion. So that doesn't really, no offense to them, but that doesn't really mean anything that, them saying what they said, that every Halo will, Halo Infinite and beyond will, be made by 343. That does not mean a doggone hill of beans. That's just his opinion. So we're going to definitely have to keep an eye on this one. If you're asking me what I think, I mean, we've already seen something similar to this leak out before. I mean, we heard that the PlayStation was going to be getting several different Xbox games. Of course, there were people out there saying, oh, that'll never happen. Microsoft or Xbox would never do such a thing. You got to be kidding me. That's never going to happen. All of a sudden, Phil Spencer, Sarah Bond, Matt Booty, they're coming out a couple of weeks later saying, yeah, we got a couple of games that are going over to the PlayStation. So for me, I'm going to kind of look at it from that standpoint as it stands right now. Of course, anything could be the real story behind this. But when you hear certain things and you can go off of a track record of what things have been like at that particular studio or that place, whatever that place may be, place of business, then you can kind of see that, look, it's a possibility of this being true, but only time will tell. Guys, let's go ahead though, and let's move on into the next story, which I actually got from Event Hub. So if you're into Marvel vs. Capcom like myself, then I know you're excited about the Capcom Fighting Collection that was announced at the Nintendo Direct. And of course, I know it's some fighting game fans that would love to see the franchise make a return. And to speak about the possibility of that happening, Dexerto sat down to interview Street Fighter VI producer Shuhei Matsumoto, where, man, hopefully I ain't butchered that joker's name. God darn. But he said, quote, "The development team at Capcom has big dreams. Maybe there is an opportunity for a new Marvel vs. Capcom game. Maybe there is an opportunity for a new Capcom-based SNK game. I don't know. But if that were to happen, that would take some time and effort in order to create and release those kinds of games. But the short term with what we can do, what we can do now is at least reintroduce these past legacy games to a new audience, to people who may not have the opportunity to play it because it might not be out on modern or current platforms." Now, this is the thing. It seems like for him, he's saying they got big dreams. Maybe it is a possibility of this happening, them actually bringing out this collection, being able to reintroduce the game to probably a fan base that has never played a Marvel vs. Capcom. Well, maybe not a fan base, but a player base that has never played the game, where if it is received well enough, if it can drum up enough excitement, then maybe it's a possibility that the franchise could come back. But it seems like it may depend on how well this next upcoming collection is actually received. Now, he also mentioned that Capcom and Marvel had talked about this collaboration for years. And Marvel took notice, pardon me, guys, Marvel took notice of EVO. And the competitive scene was a big inspiration for them being on board with even creating the upcoming collection to begin with. So it looks like Capcom's relationship with Marvel is in a good place, but it also looks like Capcom and SNK have a very good relationship as well, because out of nowhere, during EVO 2024, SNK vs. Capcom SVC Chaos was introduced to be releasing on July 22nd for PlayStation 4, Nintendo Switch, and GOG, and it's going to cost $20 for Steam. God darn. Wow. Came out of nowhere. So, I mean, look, if you're an SNK fan or Capcom versus Capcom fan, not SNK only, but Capcom versus SNK or Marvel versus Capcom, it looks like the future for both of these fighting franchises looks at minimum very, very hopeful. So hopefully, in the near future, hopefully this collection will do well. It'll drum up interest back into the franchises. And as a result of people actually going out there spending money, wanting it, because I'm darn sure getting that collection. That collection is dope. Especially, at first I thought it was going to be X-Men, the X-Men arcade game on there. I messed up on one of the titles. Yeah, the Atom or something like that. Yeah, I was a little shaky on that one. But just having that Punisher game in there as well, man, I am sold. SOLD. You got my money, Capcom. So hopefully a lot of other people will do the same thing, go out there, show their support. And as a result of that happening, possibly Capcom and Marvel could come back to the table and say, look, man, it's people out there, they want this game, they're buying it. Marvel is all about money because they're under Disney. So it'd be like, man, look, this is great for everybody. You give a Spider-Man, Fantastic Four could be in there. Oh, shucks. Let me ask y'all something now. Man, I can't really remember off the top of my head. I feel like they were some people from the Fantastic Four were, hold on, man, hold on. Wait a minute, let's do some trivia here. Hold up, let's pull this up. That way I don't have to make too much of a fool out of myself. Were any Fantastic Four characters in Marvel vs. Capcom?
According to Crossover Wiki, fandom, Fantastic Four characters are playable in Marvel vs. Capcom 2, Marvel vs. Capcom 3, and Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3.
God darn. Yeah, that just goes to show how long it's been since I played. Good grief. God.
Fool this man!
Golly, man. Oh, man, I'm out here looking like a fraud. Man, so anyway, but it looks like, those characters have already been in there, so they're not going to get anything more or anything less. But this is awesome. Hopefully this is a success, and we'll be getting some new Marvel vs. Capcom games as well as Capcom vs. SNK. But let's go on and let's get into the next story. Well, it's not really a story, but it's something that I got from NP First. And this is just on a side note, but it has been confirmed by Yves Guillemot, who is the CEO of Ubisoft, that Star Wars Outlaws holds the highest marketing budget for any game released by them thus far. So it looks like, as far as the marketing goes, they are going to shoot for the sun, moon, and stars with this one. And of course, this is a big IP. This is one of my most anticipated games of the year. This is a game I will be picking up on day one. I will be dropping whatever I'm playing. Matter of fact, hold on. Let's sit here for a minute. As far as what I've been playing, I beat Ghost of Tsushima, and what a masterpiece. Fantastic game. Oh, man, oh man, that game was awesome. I would have to give that game, if I had to give it a score, thinking about it at this moment, I was teetering on like a 8.5 out of 10. But towards the end, when I start getting more weapons, my weapons start getting more powerful. I got better armor and a couple of different, new abilities. The game just became so much more fun when I was leveled up, and I wasn't getting, they was still slashing the heck out of my doggone energy. My energy bar was going down hard. Eventually, when I started getting better equipment, it did do a little bit better, and that's when it became more fun. But I would say, story-wise, the story is it's pretty good. It's actually a pretty good story. It's solid. It's a solid story. I would say like a 7.5 to an 8 as far as the story. It's solid enough. Maybe a 7.5. Talking about gameplay, golly, gameplay was good, man. That was like an 8.5 as far as the gameplay goes. Just the character development and the voice acting, that was solid. That was about an 8 as well. Graphics, holy smoke. Man, listen, this is the PlayStation 4 version that I'm playing. Well, that I was playing on the PlayStation 5, because I did not upgrade. They said it wasn't worth the upgrade price. Wasn't that big of a difference as far as the graphics went. But those graphics are spectacular. They are a 10 out of 10, at least a 9 out of 10. With the graphics. So you add all of those scores up, man. Like I said, I'm teetering at an 8.75. I want to give it a 9. I really, really do. Because that fun factor, man, once you get, your character buffed up where he needs to be, it's so much fun. So I would say anywhere between an 8.75 to a 9 for that game. That game was so doggone great. It's a very, very great game. If you haven't played it, I would definitely recommend, please go out there and pick it up because it is well worth the money. So when I think about Ghost of Tsushima 2, it's a couple of ways they could go with that, but I don't want to get into any spoilers. I love the ending as well. Oh man, that ending was it was dope because it was a certain will I spoil it? Let's just say you had a choice. I'll put it that way. I loved that they gave you a choice. That was dope, but I'll leave it there. Right now, oh shucks. Right now, I am on Detroit Become Human. Oh my gosh. Goodness gracious, the life. Woo! I'm going through my backlog. Let me tell you something, man. I don't know. This was one of those games where they said it was PS4 Pro enhanced on the back of the box. I've had this game for like 3 years, and it's been in the wrapper. Let me tell you something, brothers and sisters. This game looks so fantastic. Fantastic. I mean, phenomenal. David Cage, God dog, I think you've done it again. This game, man, listen, I got to tell y'all about just one scene in this game, and this is not a spoiler, I promise you. This was more of a shock factor for myself. I was playing the game, and of course, I was one of the characters. I'm not going to spoil that part of it, but I was, looking at this one character, man, this game is real. This game is so realistic. I've never seen this in a video game yet. Man, this Joker actually doggone put fire to a crack pipe. I mean, a real legit crack pipe. This Joker was smoking, shaking on the couch, blowing out red smoke. I said, this Joker's on the red dragon right now. I looked at it. I said, God dog, this looks like the joint that Pookie had in New Jack City. I mean, this thing was almost like it's like they did research on this joint, man. I mean, this thing was like very, very accurate. When you saw those joints back in the day, like those documentaries, War on Drugs, and they were going around other people. Not other people, but people that were users, and they were showing them, this is what I used to smoke the crack in. Man, I mean, that was some real detail in that game when it came to that. I was just shocked. I've never seen that in a game. I said, wow, David Cage. This Joker he straight up went there with that one, man. I mean, have you ever seen a character in gaming at this point in your life, brothers and sisters, actually light up a crack pipe in a game? That was a first. Blew my mind. I thought I had seen everything when it came to gaming, but that one right there, I said, oh, shucks, this Joker's in the streets for real. But that game right now is so good, man. Graphically, again, God, dog. This is a PlayStation 4 game, brothers and sisters, and it looks like something you would see today. And you would be like, golly, that looks amazing today. So that game, I've been enjoying it so much, having a good time with that. That's the next game up. And man, I have been truly, truly enjoying it. Of course, I'm going through the early stages of the character development. I did that first mission. Oh man, made me feel guilty as a mother lover. I said, dag, I set this man up. It was terrible. I felt bad, but I thought I was doing the right thing. But anyway, look, I've doggone rambled on enough about that stuff, about what I've been playing. But man, those two games, especially Detroit Become Human, graphically, good gosh, game is dope. So was Ghost. But let me get back to the show though. So the next thing I wanted to talk about is, this is on another side note. An interesting game actually released out of the blue earlier this week. It was actually called Nobody Wants to Die. Now, the game looks like, man, the aesthetic of this game looks so good, man. The game looks like BioShock mixed with how would you say, like a 1950s kind of look. You know, it just looks really, really good. It's almost like BioShock, as you know, BioShock had that futuristic back in the day kind of look to it as well. It kind of has that thing going on with it, but it looks so darn good because, man, this game was made. Oh my gosh, y'all know I'm a sucker for this doggone thing, but it was made with the Unreal Engine 5 engine, as it were. And it's available on PlayStation, PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X, and PC. And the game is $24.99. Matter of fact, shoot, I'm going to bring this up. You know what? We are going to watch. Well, we ain't going to watch it, but we're going to listen to this trailer together. This game looks really, really good, man. Let me bring it up real quick. It's something I'm definitely going to buy, man, for sure. Let me see. What's the name of it again? Yeah, Nobody. Yeah, I got it. Nobody Wants to Die. Listen to this and tell me what you think about it. Here we go.
Legend, huh?
More like cautionary.
Let me dismiss that. Let's do this over again. And let's rewind it to the beginning. Here we go.
Having a goal is better than inactivity. An alternative to focusing on the symptoms and the memories. I'm 120 years old. And I don't have any strength left to keep recalling the past.
You're a goddamn departmental legend.
Legend, huh?
More like cautionary tale.
I need access.
Do you think I don't know why the chief put you on restricted duty?
No doubt about it, this case smells worse than a 2-week-old corpse in a storm drain.
Can I ask you something personal? Do you believe in life after death? Well, apparently in the past, people used to ask stuff like that all the time.
Because the average lifespan was less than 100 years.
And now, can we believe in anything beyond this? What if you could choose the bank or death?
We just received word of gunshots in Central Park. The crowd is panicking.
Sarah, you there?
All those innocent souls.
I will find you.
James? No, please.
Take you apart piece by piece. Who are you?
I've lost visual.
You should be thanking me.
Nobody Wants to Die. God darn. Man, oh man. Definitely picking that up. Hopefully you guys will do the same, but I do want to let you guys know that they say that the gameplay of it is more of a detective type of reconstructing kind of game. The action is not like going to be a lot of shooting in it, but it's going to be more so a detective focused type of game. And I mean, it's $25. So man, let's see how long it lasts, because for $25, not expecting for it to last 100 hours, but let's see what it lasts for. How many hours is Nobody Wants to Die?
According to Push Square, you should see Nobody Wants to Die off in under 10 hours depending on how long you spend on your investigations, and it's a mostly captivating tale.
Oh, it's mostly captivating as well. Wow. So under 10 hours, you'll be able to get through the game. that sounds very, very fair for the price, but man, y'all know what I'm in it for, man. I'm in it for these graphics right now. I want to see what this game really, really looks like when I get it, actually on my TV, because, YouTube, the videos are always they're never as good as the, actual game will appear to be on your, from your console on your TV, actually natively. So this is something I'm very, very interested in. I'll be picking it up. But like I said, just be a little cautious, if you're not into detective kind of games and reconstruction and, kind of figuring out what happened at the crime scene. This game might not be for you. But let's go ahead, guys, and let's move on to the next story. So this story that I got here is actually from Polygon. So EA Sports College Football 25 has made an amazing comeback. Not only review-wise, coming in at a Metacritic score of 88, but also sales-wise, because as of Friday, when it was officially released, it sold more than 2.8 million copies. But 2.2 million of those copies were sold to people that got early access, which was around 3 days early, by picking up the deluxe edition that cost $99.99. God darn. 2.2 million people picked up the $99.99 priced doggone edition of the game. But shout out to doggone, I was about to say EA, but it is EA, but shout out to EA Sports College Football 25 for an amazing comeback. A lot of people were looking for this joint. Whew. That is fantastic. I know EA is loving this. It's been said. Now, I have also, too, been a fan of, when it was called NCAA football. I was a big fan of it because I thought the presentation was better. I thought the gameplay was better, as far as like comparing it to Madden. And it seems like that is also what people are saying about this game as well, that they love the presentation. It's a lot faster than Madden. It feels smoother. Like I said, that presentation is so much better than what they do with Madden. So I think that, it getting off to this kind of start, being back, its first year back in, what's it been, almost a decade or so, somewhere around there, since a NCAA game has come out, that I think that it may be some people that may lean more towards NCAA football versus Madden. I mean, of course, we'll never know. We have to wait for the numbers to come out, but that will be very, very interesting to see what those numbers actually come out to be. But anyway, guys, let's go ahead and let's get into the next story, which was also another big story this week. Let's talk about Gears of War E-Day. And I got this story from Game Rant. But we got to talk about this because earlier this week, a little bit of a different conversation started happening where people started to believe that the next Gears was coming to PlayStation. Now, this happened because of a job listing for the Coalition's online team where they're looking for a senior online client engineer. Now, this part is very important. They are looking for, again, a senior online client engineer that has, quote, experience with Xbox Live, PSN, Steam, or other online gaming platforms. End of quote. Oh, man. This right here, this is very interesting because some people could say, well, only the online portion. Man. Oh, man. Let me stretch just a little bit. God, dog. Some people could say, because I'm saying to myself, this is just lunacy at this point. But some people are saying that they believe that it's just the online part of Gears of War that's coming to PlayStation. And I'm saying to myself, it should not be any part of this game coming to PlayStation. It shouldn't happen. There's some people that feel like they're looking for this person just because they just want to make sure that they have enough experience around the board so that they can be a good fit in the company. I'm like, I don't know how that actually equates to being a good fit, that you actually know how to, that you have experience with PSN. I don't know. Now, of course, similar to the 343 Industries story, I don't want to jump out the window with this one and say it's actually coming to PlayStation. But if we look and we listen to what Phil Spencer said during that, I know it's not E3, but during their conference, during their show, Phil Spencer sat up on IGN stage and said, more games are coming to other platforms. More games are coming. Phil Spencer would not rule out. Now, this was a different situation or a different place, but Phil Spencer, when he was asked, was Starfield coming to other platforms, or was it going to stay exclusive, to Xbox? He said he couldn't answer that. He couldn't make any guarantees that Starfield would stay on Xbox. So, with other games already being released on PlayStation, Hi-Fi Rush, Sea of Thieves, Pentiment, and one more game that I can't remember at the moment, being released over on PlayStation, and him saying that more games are coming, it leads me to believe. And then you see again this job listing where they are asking for the senior online client engineer to have experience with PSN. Then it just seems like all arrows are pointing to the next Gears E-Day actually going to PlayStation. And the interesting thing about Gears of War E-Day, which would make it a prime, unfortunately, but a prime candidate to actually be released on the PlayStation brand, is because it is a prequel. It is basically the first game in the franchise. So if you're trying to introduce somebody to a totally different franchise that they've never played, never had access to, then you would want to start at the beginning. Get them hooked from the beginning and then introduce them to the other games at a later date. We've heard about this Marcus Phoenix collection coming out. Oh, shucks. What a heck of a turn of events it would be if the Marcus Phoenix, if the Marcus Phoenix collection actually released on PlayStation. Oh, man. I mean, listen, again, I'm not trying to put this thing out of control and, just have all of these different, well, yeah, they're all theories, but, I'm just not trying to push it to a situation where, it's definitely happening. I'm just looking at it from the standpoint of just going off of history and going off of what Phil Spencer has said and just going off of what seems to be the new direction that Xbox is actually headed in. Again, this is a company where they're telling you that no console is required. Go out there and get a doggone Amazon Fire Stick to play Xbox games on. Don't worry about the console. I mean, this is that company at the end of the day. So, we've seen them go in a lot of different directions. Seems like they're going to continue to go in certain directions. So I just think that at this point in time, I think realistically, it is impossible. Of course, you can say this about any company, but Xbox is showing us time and time again. I don't think it's it's necessarily possible to say exactly what they will do at this point in time. So I'll leave it there. It is definitely a possibility that this could happen. That PSN, having experience on there, that just doesn't gel well with me, or I'm sure many other people out there. But for the sake of time, guys, let's go ahead and move on to the next story that I actually got from Game Rant. So let's get into some rumors.
Rumor has it is something that only I know.
So we are all aware that after 5 years, PlayStation will be returning to Tokyo Game Show. And it's being speculated that this is where the PlayStation 5 Pro will be shown and officially talked about. Now, it's also being rumored that this reveal and PlayStation Showcase could happen on September 26th. And the reason why it's being speculated that this is a day that you want to keep your eyes on is because that is the first day of the Tokyo Game Show event, which will run until the 29th of September. So it's really no telling when or what day PlayStation will choose to have their presentation. And I was thinking about this too. Also, we have to remember it's no guarantee Sony is going to have a showcase at this event. You guys remember back in May, people thought that that was going to be PlayStation's showcase, and it was not. That was not the case at all. We got that other event that they have that I can't even think of the name of that right now, but we got that instead, So again, this is very interesting. It is exciting, that it is a possibility that they could show up on the 26th and have a fantastic show and show off the Pro and all of that stuff. Or could it be a possibility, now just to flip it a little bit, could it be a situation where they just show off the PlayStation 5 Pro during this Tokyo Game Show and we don't at all get a showcase? Would that even be something that you would even be happy about? Because I'm going to tell you, if they're just going to talk about the PlayStation 5 Pro, I don't know. That is a little interested to me. I can't lie. I am a little interested if they do show up and they are just concentrating on the PlayStation 5 Pro, because we know that Hideo Kojima is also going to be there with Death Stranding 2 as well. I mean, what better game to show off the graphics of what the doggone PlayStation 5 Pro would be capable of doing? And then you put a couple of other, maybe some Japanese developers up there as well to show off some of the games they've been working on. I mean, it could be something, but if you're asking me which one would I prefer a showcase or prefer to see the PlayStation 5 Pro, I will take a showcase all day, every day, because I want to know what games you have coming out when and what titles they're going to be. So that's just me. I feel like that would be exactly where I would lean. Of course, we got to wait to see what PlayStation does. Now, nonetheless, if they do both, if they show off the Pro and the showcase at the same time, like the actual PlayStation 5 Pro is part of the showcase, oh man, sensational, chef's kiss. But we have to wait to see if that happens. So I say, again, September 26th, don't fully feed into it because it is rumors. Anything can happen. But at bare minimum, it doesn't hurt to at least keep your eye open for that day. Let's go ahead, guys, though, and let's move on into our final story for the week. And I actually got this from IGN. So, lastly, let's end on a positive note. Now, Bethesda has become the first Microsoft studio to fully unionize. Whoa! They have a union. That is fantastic. Now, here is the direct quote a majority of developers at Bethesda Game Studios, Dallas, Rockville, which is in Maryland, and Austin are ecstatic to announce the formation of our union with @CWA Union. Together as hashtag 1BGSUSA, we advocate for the betterment of every developer at BGS, setting the new standard for our industry. End of quote. Now, this is fantastic because you guys remember, I think, when the ABK deal had started. This was during the early days. I believe they asked Microsoft, would they be okay with a union actually being started in, the game division? And they said, absolutely, we would definitely stand, for that. That would be something we would be behind 100%. And I will say that, it could have been, again, kind of what we've seen over the last couple of months. It could have just been, a little bit of, talk just to get the deal to actually go through and them actually not back up their words that were said. But no, we see right now, these guys actually have a union. So you gotta give Microsoft their respect for keeping their word when that came down the pipeline. When it came to the action of it happening, they made it happen. So shout out to Microsoft, shout out to Xbox. Man, this is dope. This makes me wonder, would this be something that could attract more developers over there to the Xbox side? Because you're talking about a union that helps with more job security, you being able to, actually go into what do you call it? Golly, to be able to negotiate different things inside of your contract and things of that nature. I mean, this could definitely be a bit of a pull for some people that may be at other studios that see this and they're like, man, I would like to be a part of that, especially in the landscape of what gaming is right now. And these jokers might have an influx of talent coming their way soon, but we shall see. But anyway, guys, that is the end of the gaming news this week. Now, of course, we're not going to have video game theater. I got to work on getting that back next week. I got to work on that. But the question, I want to go ahead and get into that. The question of the week, and I know you guys saw it, but let's go over it officially. And I truly, truly appreciate you guys being here. But because of the conversation that we were having earlier about 343, this is actually where that stemmed from, this question. My question is, should 343 Industries be replaced? Now, again, as far as the reports go, and of course, nobody from Xbox or 343 Industries came out to say anything officially. But and even the guy that's actually under 343, he just basically said, man, this is crazy. It's just crazy out here, and it always will be. That doesn't confirm or deny anything with that statement. But just going off of their track record, like I talked about earlier, going off of just everything we've seen from that studio, should they be replaced? I'm going to tell, and when I say replaced, of course, the title, it's unintentionally going to not quite mean what I mean it to mean, but let me explain. Basically, I'm saying, should 343 Industries be replaced when it comes to making Halo? See, that would have been too long of a title, which is why I kind of shortened it to what it is. Because right now, Xbox has a lot of studios, brothers and sisters. They got a lot of them that could take over. I mean, id Software, holy smoke. Call of Duty, the teams over there, oh, come on, man. God darn, Treyarch. Anybody? I'm just saying. It's so many different studios that these guys have that they could use to actually say, look, 343, yeah, you are regulated to coming up with different concepts, maybe a storyline here and there, just kind of getting us started in the direction. But once you get us, enough concrete on the ground, we're going to snatch that away from you. And we're going to put id Software on it, or we're going to put Treyarch on it, one of the Call of Duty teams or something like that. I'm just saying, for me personally, I say replace those jokers. No offense to them, none at all. I mean, doggone, we know that, what was her name? Bonnie Ross. Oh, God, had to let good old Bonnie go. That happened a little while ago. No offense to her, but man, it's just Halo has not been in a great state. It has not been that game that everybody is anticipating like it used to be. I mean, you think about a new God of War coming out. Now, I can only speak from my perspective, but a new God of War or a new Spider-Man or, a new Last of Us coming out, even a Uncharted. It's certain games that PlayStation has where it's just the ball has never been just dropped, so bad where it's just not even recoverable, where people just stop looking for those titles, those key titles, that are just part and have been part of PlayStation for many, many years. It makes people get excited, for those games. And Halo used to do that when it came to the Xbox brand. But lately, it just hasn't been hitting on those same cylinders that it used to. And it's because 343 hasn't put the doggone franchise in its best light lately. So, yeah, I say replace them, make them a team that comes up with the concepts and all of that stuff. But when it's time to actually really start building the game, yeah, take them off of it. Give it to somebody else. But me, I would love to hear your opinion about this. Again, should 343 Industries be replaced? You can definitely be a part of the next listener feedback by writing in to the email address. And the email address is the Analog Circle Podcast at gmail.com. Guys, I'm going to tell y'all, man, oh man, what a heck of a week. Heck of a week. It's just always great to be here with you guys. And again, I just truly, truly appreciate you guys showing support and always being here. Thank y'all so much. So with that being said, guys, depending on you, we may have the listener feedback episode either Wednesday or it might slide into Thursday possibly, but it's all up to you guys. So yeah, we'll see what happens with that. So possibly on Wednesday when we do it again, before we officially wrap this episode up though, before we, get to the end, always remember one thing. It is not about the consoles. It is about the games. So again, possibly on Wednesday or Thursday when we do it again. Until then, you guys take care. Be safe out there. Bye-bye.